Hi, welcome to week 4 of my vlog. It's been kind of a standard week this week, just kind of based in the studio, and obviously I can't really show much client work, but I'm showing you a good process of kind of current personal work that I'm working on and the thought process behind it. My studio is a mess, so I really need to clean it and just literally tidy away stuff. Like, it's just, I take stuff out, I never put it back, so I need to get on that. So yeah, so it's been a good week ahead. I'm hoping to prepare for culture night that's next week. So over the weekend I'll probably be doing bits and pieces on that. So hope you enjoy week 4. Happy Monday. I'm in the middle of doing some client work at the minute that I can't really show you what it is. So I just thought I'd show you my table. This is a sketchbook, that's not what I'm working on. Watercolours as always. This is a putty rubber. I always get questions about that guy, and so yeah, that's what I'm doing this morning, and hopefully in the afternoon I'll be able to do some work on some personal projects, but this is what I'm doing at this second. Hi. Oh. It's Monday afternoon and I'm working on some personal work. Yeah, that's it. That's Archie. He has decided to come up and stand on my table and sit on the sketchbook I was working on. So yeah, so I've been kind of revisiting old characters that I had developed from a few years ago and using these as a starting point. I was kind of trying to develop new work, and Archie was fast asleep in his bed, and then he decided that it was time for a pet. So yeah, full blown nap time, I think. Is it, Archie? Are you going to just stay there all day? I'm working on some personal work at the minute and doing a detailed watercolour, so I'm using this brand of watercolour paper. It's Arches. It's quite a famous brand of watercolour paper, really old brand that have been around for a long time, but it's one of the best watercolour papers you can get in the world, so it's worth the investment. So the more you can spend on a good quality paper, the better the outcome, especially, you know, it'll prevent your work from buckling and stuff like that. So I always get it in a A3 size, and then I could hand tear it down to a size if I wanted it smaller or anything like that. So it comes like in a block like this, and obviously you don't paint on this side, so it's all sealed up, and that's to prevent the paper from buckling when you're using it. And you kind of tear it away from this sheet here one at a time, so that's just a protective sheet at the front, and then you work on the next layer underneath. So I'm going to take this black sheet off and get working on this painting. So I am on the way to my local post office with my orders, and I said I would get my walk in and do the delivery all in one, so that's what I'm doing. Here I am on Main Street, Gilboa. Local post office bills. The studio is a bit of a mess today. I was packing orders and yesterday, and I didn't kind of clean up, so I'm just in the middle of answering emails, and I'll just show you one of the prints, how they turned out really nice. So I'm just in the middle of answering emails, and then I am going back to do some personal work on what I was working on yesterday, so I'm looking forward to getting back into that. So it's the afternoon. I've been working on client work this morning, so in the afternoon I'm just doing some personal work, and it's really dark, so I have my lights on, so there's bits of shadows. But I had mentioned that I was kind of going to look back at this illustration I created a few years ago and just kind of see if I could develop it further. And I had been thinking about the work that I was creating during lockdown. Well, not even lockdown, but I love to draw animals while watching David Attenborough, one of my many wild pastimes. So kind of just drawing animals following along to like Blue Planet or Dynasties or whatever series is on, and so yeah, I create them kind of live on the it's kind of a reaction to what I see on the telly. And during this I decided to take a step back from actually using pencil line or line. So at the start I was using a lot of line, and I kind of thought mainly just to speed up that I would kind of get rid of the line and do more use more paint, I guess, just kind of react using the paint and then pull out highlights using a dip pen. So I tried to pull back on how much line I was using and work into it more as, you know, as coming from like a painter's way of working it. So I was working on that kind of just, and they're very quick, so they're obviously whatever comes up on the telly, and you've only like seconds to draw it, so you're doing it really quick. So I decided maybe I should use this approach when I'm painting monkeys and general animals. So obviously in the illustration it's an orangutan, so I was looking back on how I drew gorillas and chimpanzees and stuff like that, and trying to then bring more of that kind of painterly way into the artwork. So it's just a personal project, but I guess it's just trying to push myself and see kind of where you can go from there. So I did a trip to the zoo a few months ago, maybe a few weeks ago, and where am I think these are done. They're obviously very quick because they're in the zoo, so they're pretty live. You can't tell them to just hold on there, hold that pose. So I just like the way that you can use the basic line to get the figure and stuff like that. So it's just kind of looking at how I can use what I learned here on a bigger scale for artwork. So that's what I'm going to try and do now. I've been just kind of working away on different poses, so I might kind of try and draw them the way I had been studying. Into Audible when I'm working, and usually on my computer because it's better sound, but for some reason it won't play. So annoying. So this is a good book, American Dirt. So I have been working on this fella for the past kind of yesterday and today, and like I was trying to say, I was trying to get rid of pencil line and do more kind of a painterly approach. So it's just kind of experimenting. So there's more in there, but I'll just show you. So I kind of came up with the pencil pose first, and then I was trying to do it without using any lines, just using paint, which I do find quite difficult because I'm naturally more into line work. But yeah, it's good. I'm using watercolours and a dip pen.